Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am Richard Ross, your instructor. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to set up a progress bar in Microsoft Access. Plus, I'm going to show you an alternative to the ActiveX Microsoft ProgressBar control. Today's question comes from Melissa from San Diego, California, one of my Learning Connection members. Melissa says, I have a monthly report that I run which requires a series of action queries, imports, and exports that takes forever. Is there any way I can show some kind of a progress bar so I know how far along it is? Well, Melissa, Microsoft actually bundles a progress bar control that comes with Access. It's what you call an ActiveX control. It's not built into Access. It's not part of the normal control box when you see your list of tools in there. But it's an external control. Now, there's good parts of that and there's bad parts of that. The good part is that it doesn't all clutter into Access. There's tons and tons of add-ons that you can use with your Access database, but they're external controls. They're outside files. They're not built into Access. They're not native application controls. The downside of that comes when you distribute your database. If you give it to someone else and they don't have the same control or they don't have the same version of the control that you do, you run into problems. I've even run into problems with ActiveX controls upgrading from one version of Access to another. I upgraded from, I believe, Access 97 to Access 2000 back in the day. And I had a few ActiveX controls in there, and they stopped working correctly because Microsoft upgraded Access, but they didn't upgrade the ActiveX controls that came with it. There were new ones to replace them, but they didn't behave quite the same way. I've had problems with this in the past. So because of that, I tend to shy away from using ActiveX controls. And there's a lot of great ones in there. There's a whole big, gigantic toolbox of them, and I'll show you a few of them in a second. But I try not to use ActiveX controls. Maybe for a database that only you use, go ahead. Especially the progress bar control. It's kind of harmless. It's not that bad. But some of the other ones that I've used, I've had lots of problems with, especially when I try to give my database to other people. So I stay away from ActiveX controls. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the progress bar ActiveX control, and then I'm going to show you how to build your own version of a progress bar control using just a text box, and we'll draw X's across it, which is good enough for most applications. And then for the members in the extended cut version, I'll show you how to make a pretty one that involves a couple of text boxes and some shadowing and some other effects. But let's take a look at this guy first. All right, blank access database. Let's create a form. All right, doesn't have to be this big. Let's shrink it up a little bit. And for those of you who know my style, I have to put a little bit of background color in there. Let's go with light purple. Now, the point of a progress bar is that you're going to run some process, like Melissa said, and you've got, let's say, 15 action queries that run. You got to do an import, run, a make table query, an update query, an append query. You got like 15 steps. And while it's going on, you'll see the little progress bar down here move when you're inside of a query. Like if you've got an action query that's going to run and it's going to update 10,000 records, you'll see that little progress bar go across. And there's nothing you can do about that. You can't control what happens while a query is running. That's just a native access problem. Okay? But between those queries running, if you got 15, 20 different queries that run or a whole bunch of steps, you can increment that progress bar yourself. Now, it's going to involve some programming. Unfortunately, there's no way around that. So you need to use a little bit of VBA, but I'm going to show you how to do it. It's pretty easy. For my full developer students, I'm going to include this in class too, and we're going to actually use it with a record set because we're studying record sets right now in Developer 18. So I'm going to show you how the progress bar is a great tool to use when you're running through a very long record set. It's got to update 10,000 records. While it's looping, we'll have that progress bar go across. We'll do that last. So where do we find this progress bar? Well, let's go up to our design and open up the toolbox here. Now, it's not one of the built-in native access tools. You have to come down here to find ActiveX Controls. Now, this is a list of ActiveX Controls. They're outside controls. ActiveX is a technology that Microsoft used to make basically little plugins. You can insert them into Word or Excel or Access or Visual Basic. All right, there's Business Bar, there's Button Bar, there's Adobe Controls. There's a lot of third-party stuff in here. All the Microsoft stuff starts off with Microsoft. Microsoft Forms, Image Controls, Outlook stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. Now, the problem with ActiveX Controls And if you don't believe me, Google problems with ActiveX Controls. There's a lot of them. I don't like them, especially for a database you're going to be distributing. Okay? Even on your own network, you can run into problems. This is the one we're looking for right here, by the way, is the Microsoft ProgressBar control version 6. But ActiveX Controls, you got to make sure you get the same version of the control on all machines. Same version of Access and the same version of the ProgressBar control. They can become unregistered. I've seen that happen. When you distribute a database, let's say you put the ProgressBar control in your database and you send it to someone else. Sometimes you have to do special tricks to get that ProgressBar control to register on that machine. That's really weird. And I haven't, I'll be completely honest, I haven't done a ton with ActiveX Controls in about 10 years because they were incredibly unreliable 10 years ago. Right? When Office 2007 was out, 2010, I had lots of problems with ActiveX Controls. And they're not really secure. These are technically external files, and they can be the target of attacks. Hackers sometimes go after ActiveX Controls because they can modify the control, which now it has access to your database. So I just don't like them. There's problems with them, but it's simple and it's easy to use. So I'll just show you how to use this one. So here's the control once you bring it in. It looks like nothing special, but drag it across your form like that. That's more what it's supposed to look like. Now, if you open up the properties, double-click, you get a special form. All right. Usually ActiveX Controls have a special form if you double-click on them. All right. You can set the min value and the max value, so it goes from 0 to 100. You can change that if you want to. I like that because I use it for percentages, and we're going to do that with the custom progress bars that we create. We're going to use 0 to 100. But you could change the mouse pointer, what happens when you hover over it. You can change the border style, the appearance, all this different stuff. All right. That's okay. Hit OK. All right. I'm going to rename this guy. I'm going to right-click on it and go to Properties. All right. It's Progress Bar 0. I'm just going to call it PB. Let's call it PB1 because we're going to make a couple different ones. All right, PB1. There's some other custom stuff in here, OLE class, verb, all these things. Don't worry about it. We're not going to do a ton with ActiveX Controls. I don't like them. As I've said, have you gotten that impression that I don't like ActiveX Controls? All right, but it's real simple to use. So I'm just going to close this now. All right, so we've got PB1 right here. And in fact, just so I don't forget, I'm going to throw a little label next to it right here. And this is PB1. Just that's the name of it. And I'll make it black. All right. So let's drop a button on here, and I'll just show you how you control this thing real quick. Cancel that. All right. Go. So let me resize everything a little bit here. Save this form. We'll just call it Form 1 is fine. We're not going to use this for anything. Right-click, Build Event. That'll bring up your code builder. All right, and in here, I'm just going to say PB1 equals 50. All right, save that. Let's open up the form. Click the button. Boom. There, it's at 50%. See how that works? All right, PB1 equals 80. Boom, now it's at 80. Okay, so if you want to have this thing climb upwards, right, dim x as an integer for x equals 1 to 100, or 0 to 100, whatever you want to do. PB1 equals X, and then next. Save it, and then click. And it goes by really fast. It's like, done. But presumably, you'd have other stuff in here. Let's simulate other stuff. Here, other stuff. And I'll come up here, and I'll make a sub. Private sub, other stuff. And what are we going to do in here? We're going to make the computer sleep. Now, I'm going to open up my code vault. I'm going to give you guys some source code out of the code vault. I'm going to make this page for free. Here's the URL for it, 599cd.com/sleep. I'll put a link in the description below the video so you can just click on it. That will take you to this page in my code vault. I'm working on something called the code vault. It's not ready for prime time yet, but I'm loading this up with all the different source code that I create in all of my classes, and I'm going to make this available for a small monthly fee eventually, but it's not ready yet. Some of the stuff's free. Some of it will be by subscription, like the more complicated stuff. This is actually something that's real easy. All you really need is one line of code, depending on what version of Access you have, 32-bit or 64-bit. That's what this is right here. I really hate the fact that they split Access up into 64-bit and 32-bit, and the source code doesn't work between them, which it really irritates me. Okay? Because I got a lot of stuff that I built years and years and years ago that still runs just fine, but only under 32-bit Access. And then Microsoft came out with 64-bit, and none of it's backward compatible. I'm like, why would you do that? And literally all it is in most cases is just putting one line of extra, one keyword in there, pointer safe, for a lot of stuff. But this will work right here. So just copy all this stuff right here, or type it in if you want to. You really only need, if you're running 32-bit, you really only need that. We don't need sleep sec. Sleep second is a function that I wrote, excuse me, a sub that I wrote, that you can send it a number of seconds, like sleep sec 5, and it'll sleep 5 whole seconds, because sleep by itself runs in milliseconds. All right, but just grab this whole thing if you want to. Just copy this whole thing. And then come on back over to Access, and we're going to create a module right out here. Create a module. Just paste that code in that I gave you. All right, if you want to type it in, type it in. Again, you really only need that line of code, the sleep line, or this one if you're running 64-bit. All right, save that. Hit yes. And we'll just call this my sleep mod, the sleep module. All right, it's got to be out here in a public sub. Okay, now let's go back over to our other code. And I just closed the other window. This is a multi-document interface in here, kind of like Word documents, where you can have multiple documents open inside a Word. Or at least that's how it used to behave. It doesn't behave that way anymore. But now for our sleep stuff, our other stuff, we can have it sleep. Let's have it sleep 500. That's half a second. All right, 500 milliseconds. 1,000 milliseconds are in a second. All right, now when I hit go, you can kind of see the progress bar. Oh, there it goes. See? All right. Now it seems to be going slowly. And notice how I've got this not responding up here because we don't have any kind of do events in here. That's why it's taking its good old time. And one of the problems, okay, this actually brings up something interesting. One of the problems without including do events in your loops is that after like 3 seconds, 5 seconds or so, Access thinks that it's not responding and it kind of freezes up. So this progress bar is actually moving back here, but you really can't see it because Access thinks it's locked up. But I guarantee you eventually it's going to hit 100 and stop, and Access will regain control. Yeah, it's even going white now. Okay, there, it came back. All right, let's clean this up a little bit. So in my other stuff, all right, I'm going to put a do events. In any loop, you should always have do events. Otherwise, it'll seem like it's frozen and it's not. All right, that's just good to do. I have it inside the loop here or inside the other stuff, whatever you want to do. Now, the reason why it appeared to crawl is because this isn't necessarily 100 of these blocks across. It's maybe 30 blocks across. So let's increase that step. Let's go 1 to 100, step 10. All right, that means it's going to count up by tens. All right, go. See, it's moving across faster. And there's your basic progress bar. Now, at the very end, it might have stopped at 91. So at the very end of your loop, you might want to do something to make it, like say PB1 equals 100, or PB1 equals 100 at the very end here, right? Because this loop didn't necessarily, if it's stepping up at 10, it might not stop at 100. Right? It's going to go 1, 11, 21, 31. See what I'm saying? So now if I go now, by the time it's done, it'll hit at the end eventually. And then now we're at 100 and we're done. And maybe pop a done message box up here or something. Want to make it seem even more realistic? Check this out. Instead of sleep 500, I'm going to do, let's make it random. Sleep int RND times 100. In other words, it could be a number from 1 to 100 milliseconds. All right, so anywhere from 1 to 1/10 of a second. Go. That's a little bit fast, but you can see how it kind of staggers a little bit. All right, let's increase that a little bit. Let's make that 500. Whoops, 500. All right, go. See? That's more like it. That's how a progress bar kind of, Access will do a little bit and then chug and then do a little bit. All right. Now, you're not going to obviously have this running inside of a loop like this. You're going to have other stuff going on. So if you've got, let's say, a bunch of imports and queries and stuff running in the background, you're going to have yours being like this. Let's say you've got, let's say, forget this loop for a minute. I'm just going to rem this stuff out because I want to use this for the next couple examples. But all right, if you've got real stuff happening, okay, you might have like here, you might have like, you know, query 1 is going to run. Then after query run runs, let's throw an other stuff in there for our assume that's running. All right, so other stuff. Query run runs, okay, and then you're going to say right here maybe PB1. If you've got, let's say you got 5 queries that are going to run. You know, there's 5 of them. All right, so every time a query is done, you know, set the progress bar. Set it at 20. is 20% finished, right? PB1 equals 0 to start off. All right, now query 2 runs, and then PB1 equals 40. And then query 3 is going to run. Each one of these lines is where you'll do your stuff, by the way. I'm just putting other stuff in here to simulate that query running. Okay, let's say you know query 3 takes a long time to run. All right, so other stuff, and then other stuff again, and now PB1 equals 80% done, and so on. You get it, right? One more, query 4, other stuff, and then PB1 equals 100. So there's I'm simulating my different queries running, and you just kind of set these wherever you want to put the progress bar at. All right, when I hit go now, see? That's all you got to do. Right? Unless it's an actual real loop with a number of records. Like I'm going to cover record sets later for the actual developer students. But this is basically how you have your progress bar run for any number of known events. Again, if you got a big long query and it's going to have that query thingy down here, there's nothing you could do to get around that. That's part of Access. But at least if you have multiple events running, you can simulate something like this. All right, let's get rid of this stuff. I just wanted to show you how you would logically and realistically do this. Okay, so let's turn this stuff all back on. Oh, I've also seen progress bars be used like on a form to indicate that you've filled out this many fields on the form. You got a big form with like a lot of questions in it, right? And you want to just visually cue the user, oh, you've finished this many, questions on the form or on your test or whatever. You're this far done with the application. All right, you can use the progress bar that way too, just after update events in your different fields. Okay, now I showed you how to use the progress bar control that comes with Microsoft Access, the progress bar control. It's an ActiveX control. I don't like it. So let me show you how you can build your own using just a text box. All right, here's a text box. And this will be, let's call this one PB2. Nope, PB2. Okay, and I got to resize that label. There we go. Sit right there. Let's make it black. And I'm going to size this guy out about the same. Alrighty. And set whatever colors you want. If you want to make this guy, gray, bold, whatever, however you want to, pretty it up. Now what we're going to do basically is fill this up with a number of X's, or whatever character you want, stars or whatever. I tried finding a fun ASCII character to use in there, but X's and stars were better. All right, let's name this guy PB2. Now, the first thing you got to do is figure out how many characters across this guy is going to be. And it will change based on how you format this. So I'm going to use X's. So I'm going to count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so 58 across. So that's my number. Remember, 58. All right, let's go into our code now. Build event. Okay. Now, right here, I'm going to create a sub, private sub. I'm going to call this PB, let's call it PB text. And I'm going to send to it X as an integer. So I can call PB text just like I was setting PB1. All right. I'm going to send PB text what number I want to be in there. All right. Now, we know it's 58 across, right? So constant max size equals 58. I'm setting a constant. Oh, not conster. Constant. C-O-N-S-T. All right. That's not a variable. It's a constant. It'll never change. All right. I'm going to dim a temporary variable y as an integer. You'll see y in a second. Well, you'll see y in a second. Get it? Ha! You'll see y in a second. All right. Y equals. Now, I want to figure out what percentage. I'm going to send it a number from 1 to 100 just to be easy. Okay? And that 58 might change if I redesign the form a little bit, make the text bigger or change the character. All right? So I want y to represent what percentage I'm done. When I call this, all right, with x, I want x to be the percentage. All right? In fact, if you want to make this easier, right, percent complete. I like to, even though that makes things longer up here, I like to make this represent what I'm sending it, because if you're in a different sub and I say PB text, as soon as I do that, I get the helper, right? Now that tells, oh, X doesn't do me much good. So we'll make that say %complete. And if you want to make it shorter for inside your code, that's fine too, but that's not a big deal. All right, so Y equals, I want to calculate the percentage. So it's going to be int of %complete divided by 100 times max size. Okay? So if max size was 100 and I sent it a 100, it's going to be 100 divided by 100 times 100, which is 100. Okay? All right, 1 divided by 100. If I send it a 0, it's going to be 0 divided by 100 times 100, so 0. All right, so this just calculates this into a percentage. Okay? All right, if we're half done, 50, right? 50 divided by 100 is basically 1/2 times max size. That's basically converting that into a percentage. Okay, so now I know the percentage. Int will chop that fractional part off. So now I've just got, if it comes out to 49.642, it's just going to be 49. Now that I have the integer percentage that I'm complete, I can say PB2, which is my text bar, equals string Y, comma, whatever character you want. Okay, string is a function that says give me X number of whatever character I want. So if I say 50 and then X, I get 50 X's in a row. That's what the string function does. All right. All right. Let's see if it works. It should work. I'm pretty confident it's gonna work. Not 100% positive. Get hot percentage. Get it. All right. Enough of my puns for today. Go. And nothing. Oh, I didn't call it. Duh. I wrote the sub, but I didn't call it. So down here in my loop, I'm going to say PB text X. And now I can see it's %complete, right? I'm not setting it equal to like the progress bar, because the progress bar is an actual control that has a value. This is a sub that I'm calling, so it's slightly different. All right, so I got my code in there now in the loop. Ready, go. And beautiful. There. Now it stopped just shy. I wonder why. Let's see here. Did I count this out right? Oh, no, we got the same problem. Our loop stopped at 91, right? So down here, when this loop is done, because you know this loop isn't perfect, all right? So down here, we can say PB text 100 when you're finished. Okay, so save that, and then now let's run it. And there, it finished. Maybe put a little percentage at the end over here, what percentage we're at. All right, let's do this. Let's say up here, when we draw the string, after that, put a space, and then X, the number, and then a percentage sign. Like that. Let's see what that does. We'll have to probably shrink up our max size. I'm going to guess maybe 55. Let's try it now. Go. Oh, variable not defined. Ah! What didn't I define? Oh, X. Duh. I didn't make it X. I made it %complete. I had an X in my notes. Okay, go. See that? Beautiful. A little bit too far at the end. Maybe let's go 53. Go. See? There's your little progress bar. And it shows you as it's going across. If you don't like X's, change the character. Maybe do a dash. I don't know. Of course, you might have to now change how wide it is. Yeah, much. The X character is much wider. Or go with a font that's unispaced. Like, let's see, format like Courier. Where's Courier? C-O-U-R. Where is it? There it is. Courier down here. Courier New. All right, these are unispaced fonts. All right, also called monospaced fonts. So whatever character you use, it's the same width. You know how W's are wider than I's? Well, unispaced fonts they take care of that. And then you can use those. I used to use those for coding all the time. So if I run it now, I have to, of course, adjust it. And we're way overboard. Let's change this down to 40. It's just trial and error sometimes. You just got to guess. You could count it out, but all right, a little bit bigger. Once you get it, though, you'll have it for all the characters. All right, that's not bad. 46 should be perfect. And now if I change it even to an asterisk, it should still give me the same width. Oh, the asterisk looks nice. I like that. All right, so there is your progress bar control and your text progress bar. Want to learn more about progress bars? Well, in the extended cut for members, I cover making this fancy looking 3D text box bar, which is really cool looking, much nicer than this one. This one's okay, but this one looks a lot better. And I'll show you how to make an abort button. So if you're, let's say, 81% through with a long process and you realize something's wrong, you can abort out of it without having a control break or exit out of your code that way, and you can gracefully exit the loop. I also cover a lot more with progress bars in my full access developer level 18 class, where I will also show you how to use this progress bar with a record set, which is something that we're studying in our developer classes. How do you become a member? Click on the Join button below the video. Silver members and up will get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, live video and chat sessions, and other perks. After you click the Join button, you'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks. But don't worry, these tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and feel free to share it wherever you think it might help people who are interested in Access. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free, and click on the bell icon to select all to be notified every time I post a new video. YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted. So if you'd like to get an email every time I post a new video, click on the link below to join my mailing list. Click on the Show More link below the video to find additional resources and links. You'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access. It's over 3 hours long, and you can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1, and that is free for all members of my YouTube channel at any level. Want to have your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my Tech Help page, and you can send me your question there. If you have a specific problem you need help with, or you'd like to discuss having a database built for your needs, I do offer one-on-one consulting. Be sure to follow my blog and find me on Facebook, Twitter, and of course, YouTube. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something today. I'll see you again soon.